the Constitution and Section 20 of the Elections Commissions Act, and include them on the National Voters Register. Article 59 of the Constitution guarantees the right of every citizen of Uganda of 18 years and above to vote. The same article imposes a duty on the state to take all necessary steps to ensure that all citizens qualified to vote register and exercise their right to vote. Section 20 of the Election Commissions Act provides for the registration of voters and requires that a person is eligible for registration as a voter if that person is a citizen of Uganda and is 18 years and above. In proving a person's citizenship status, Section 69 of the Registration of Persons Act directs that the person must possess a national identity card or national identification number issued by NIRA. In generating the voters register, Section 65(2) of the Registration of Persons Act, the EC is at discretion to compile, maintain, and update on a continuing basis a national voters register and use the information in the existing national voters register as well as the information contained in the registration of persons held by NIRA. After compiling a voters register, the EC is required to, in Section 24 and 25 of the Election Commission, has to display for inspection the voters register, a voters roll for each constituency, and a voters roll for each polling station within the constituency. The current voter register and verification exercise is in furtherance of the powers of the EC as outlined above. And the exercise is aimed to 1, enable eligible Ugandan citizens of 18 years and above who are not yet registered as voters to be registered as voters. The second aim of the current exercise is to enable registered voters who wish to transfer to new voting locations to apply for such transfer. The other one, the third issue, is to enable registered voters to check and confirm that their particulars are correct and appear on the voters register at the polling locations that they indicated during registration. And number 4 is to enable students who are registered by NIRA and have since attained the age of 18 years to present their particulars, that is, the national identification number, for updating and assignment of a polling station within their parish of residence or origin. Consideration of the issues raised by members on the voter registration exercise. During the debate on the statement by the Deputy Attorney General, a number of issues were raised by members in relation to the conduct of the voters register update exercise by EC. The issues were extracted by the committee and referred to the agencies, EC, NIRA, and UBOS. Below is part of the committee, is the report of the committee on the issues raised, taking into account the responses received from EC, NIRA, and UBOS, and the legal obligations imposed on those agencies under the law. The first issue members raised is the registration of persons without national IDs, NIN numbers by the Electoral Commission. A number of members questioned the current practice by the EC of registering first-time voters who do not possess national identity card numbers. The members urged that the Electoral Commission should not be registering first-time voters who do not possess NIN numbers, since such individuals have not been certified as citizens of Uganda. On its part, the EC informed the committee that it is currently registering persons to participate in elections, whether such persons possess NIN numbers or not. The EC explained that where a person appears and he has a national ID, the voter is registered by the EC for inclusion on a national voter. And if the person does not have a NIN number, then the person is registered by EC and his or her particulars are collected and are transmitted to NIRA for registration and issuance of a NIN number. The committee has examined this matter and finds that the registration of voters is governed by the Constitution, the Electoral Commission Act, and the Registration of Persons Act. The committee is aware that Article 59 of the Constitution guarantees every citizen who is above 18 the right to vote. The same article imposes an obligation on every citizen of Uganda of 18 years and above the duty to register to vote in an election. Article 61(1)(e) of the Constitution imposes a duty on the EC to compile, maintain, revise, and update the voters register. Section 20 of the Election Commission Act provides for the qualification of a voter in Uganda, and it requires that a person is qualified as a voter if that person is a citizen of Uganda and is 18 years of age or above. In ascertaining the citizenship of a voter, a person who alleges to be a citizen of Uganda must produce a NIN number issued by NIRA within the provisions of the Registration of Persons Act, Section 66(2) of the Registration of Persons Act. of the Registration of Persons Act. Sorry, yeah. Just I'll go back a bit. Section 20 of the Election Commission provides for the qualification of a voter in Uganda. It requires that a person is qualified as a voter if the person is a citizen of Uganda and is 18 years of age and above. In ascertaining the citizenship of a voter, a person who alleges to be a citizen of Uganda must produce a national ID or a NIN issued by NIRA within the provisions of the Registration of Persons Act. Section 66(2) of the Registration of Persons Act requires a person to produce a NIN number or a national identification card or alien's identification number or alien's identification in identifying him or herself as a voter. The committee observes that the registration of a person as a voter is a two-step process which is commenced by a person being registered by NIRA, issued with a national ID or a NIN, and therefore presenting himself or herself to the Electoral Commission for registration as a voter. The committee notes that the current practice adopted by EC of registering first-time voters who do not possess national IDs or NIN numbers is wrong, since by the time a person applies to the EC to be registered as a voter, he or she must have proved his or her citizenship status by registering with NIRA and being issued with a NIN or a national identity card, which certifies the person as a Ugandan. The committee therefore notes that it is wrong for the EC to register persons who are not possessed with national IDs or NINs because their mandate is to register citizens of Uganda for election, and a person without a NIN number has to first prove his or her citizenship before being registered as a voter. The mandate to register citizens of Uganda is the preserve of NIRA and cannot be ceded to any other person or authority. The committee therefore finds that the EC should only register persons who possess national identity cards or NIN numbers or student LIN numbers. Any person who does not have a national ID, NIN or student number should not be registered by the EC and should instead be directed to apply to NIRA to register and obtain a NIN number, ID, or a student's number before they are registered by EC. Recommendation. The committee recommends, therefore, that during the update of voters registered, the EC should only register persons who are above 18 years and above and possess national IDs, NIN numbers, or LIN numbers. Second recommendation, since NIRA and EC are carrying out complementary work, NIRA should consider undertaking registration of persons exercises during the period the EC is undertaking voter verification, so that persons who are not possessed with national IDs or NIN numbers can be registered by NIRA during the same exercise. And the records of voters from participating in electoral processes, since they have to walk long distances from their villages to the sub-county in order to get registered. Members also argued that their constituents have incurred a lot of costs associated with transportation and wastage of a lot of time on commuting to and from their villages and to the sub-county. The Electoral Commission confirmed to the committee that it had indeed supplied registration kits at the sub-county level rather than at the parish level or ward. However, the EC clarified that the kits are supposed to rotate at parish levels on different days during the exercise. According to the EC, the total number of kits deployed for this exercise is 2,703 biometric enrollment kits, instead of the required 5,000 kits. The distribution of the kits was made based on the sub-counties, except for Kampala and Wakiso and Mukono, which have been allocated additional kits per parish or ward. The EC confirmed that it had received 35,000 out of the ability of the EC to carry out the voter verification exercise smoothly and with little disruption to the normal lives of the people of Uganda. Recommendations. In light of the above, the committee recommends that the EC should consider extending the deadline for the voter verification exercise in light of the challenges faced in the process. The government should prioritize procurement of election kits and other ICT equipment needed by EC, and the EC should, in compliance with Section 20 of the Electoral Commission Act, ensure that voter verification exercise is carried out at the parish or ward. The other issue, honourable members, was the functionality of the kits used for voter verification and update. Members were concerned that the functionality of the registration kits have argued that the registration kits are obsolete and constantly break down. thereby delaying the registration process. The members were also concerned that of the slowness of the verification of individuals, reasoning that since the registration kits are old, they can only work on a limited number of people, and in most areas not exceeding 50 per day, thereby occasioning delays in the registration process, leading to frustration of the would-be voters. The EC confirmed that they have received reports of breakdowns in the kits used for registration of voters and update. EC attributed the breakdown of the kits to the old age of the kits on account that the kits being used for the exercise were first procured for the 2014-2015 mass enrollment and registration under the National Security Information System Project, the predecessor of NIRA. NIRA informed the committee that the kits used by EC were procured by NIRA in 2014 and are 11 years old at the moment. According to NIRA, the kits are at the end of life and end of support, and their performance is suboptimal because of degradation over time. Precisely, they are obsolete. The committee was informed that as a mitigation measure, the EC has deployed IC officers in the voter verification exercise. Honorable members, the issue of, if you peruse, you realize that the reason why they have been using these people is because of the mistake. They used it to bring in new voters who didn't have any numbers. And so these GISOs and PISOs were supposed to verify citizenship, which we have said was not their mandate. That's the mandate of NIRA. If it was done that way, PISO, DISO, they would never appear anywhere. But they have combined the system of new voters who don't have any numbers with the exercise of verification. So to that end, the committee recommends that the EC should only register persons who possess national IDs or NIN as required by Section 66(2) of the Registration of Persons Act. In case the EC wishes to verify citizenship status of a person, the EC should contact NIRA, since it is the only competent body in Uganda that can attest the citizenship of a person. And the EC should immediately discontinue the involvement of DISOs, PISOs, and GISOs in the verification exercise, since their involvement in the process is legally and administratively redundant. The other issue was the exclusion of school-going children from the voter update exercise. Honorable colleagues, when you read, you'll understand that after this exercise, pupils, students who have attained 18 years of age from March onwards will not be on the register. Why? Because the Electoral Commission says their register should be ready by June for them to be able to start conducting elections. And the first elections are actually in June of the youth, the PWDs, and the other special interest groups. So they are time-bound. Any child who will attain 18 years after March will not be able to vote. So we have made a recommendation that the committee recommends that NIRA should ensure that all learners in Uganda are registered and issued with lean numbers. And once they are 18 years of age, their particulars are transmitted to EC for inclusion in the voter register in accordance with Section 65 of the National Registration of Persons Act. But this will only be for this period of the exercise. Any youth who will attain 18 years of age after this exercise, they will not be able to be put on the voters. The other issue was lack of electricity in some sub-counties. Members complain that some sub-counties don't have power, and the kits sometimes are redundant because they are not charged. So the Electoral Commission, we have made recommendations. Government should endeavor to extend electricity to all parts of Uganda for the future. EC should procure kits with the EC should procure kits with longer battery usage, in addition to providing power storage and backup systems in areas with unreliable or no electricity supply. And the other recommendation is EC should immediately provide standby generators to sub-counties that don't have power to ensure that this exercise moves well. The other issue is UNAVERA going to be reporting to us, and I have a report I received today that should there be need to extend, they will indeed extend the time. The recommendation is that the committee recommends that the EC should plan appropriately to ensure that verification and other voting materials are delivered on time. The committee recommends that the EC should consider extending the deadline for the verification exercise due to the disruptions experienced at the beginning. Then, irregular removal of voters from the roll. Colleagues, the EC explained that it is not within their mandate to remove voters, and that the process for removal of voters from a roll is elaborate under Section 26(3) of the Electoral Commissions Act, and that any voter who has been removed erroneously has an opportunity in this period to be reinstated back, but also during the display of the voters' register, which is upcoming, I think, within 3 or 4 weeks from now. During that period, if you go and realize that you are not on the voters' register, there's going to be a tribunal, you raise a complaint, and you can be reinstated back. The committee recommends that the EC introduces mechanisms that prevent the removal of voters contrary to the provisions of the law in order to ensure credible, accurate, and transparent voter register. Any person whose particulars are missing from the voter register after the current voter verification period can have the particulars included in the voter register during the period of voter display as required in Section 25 of the Electoral Commission Act. To have a negative impact on the credibility, accuracy, and transparency of the voter register. The legal regime pertaining to the conduct of elections requires that voters must be registered in order to be eligible to participate in an election. The voter registration is intended to ensure that everyone entitled to vote can do so, to prevent ineligible persons from voting and to guard against multiple voting by the same individual. The accuracy of the voter register is a key element in ensuring that all qualified constituents can enjoy their right to vote. Since the credibility of the entire electoral system depends on the accuracy of the voter register, government needs to ensure that resources are made available to the EC to undertake this delicate process in time. Every government agency that has a bearing on the compiling, maintaining, and update of the National Voters Register should play their role to ensure the timely delivery of the voters register at the time of the election. The committee finds that the challenges identified by members during the voter verification exercise have in most cases arisen from outside of the Electoral Commission and from other government agencies, departments and agencies. In the instant case, the delay by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in providing funds to NIRA to procure the new 5,500 biometric enrollment kits, data center and equipment, and the new NCI system has affected the carrying out of the voter verification process in a timely and efficient manner. Likewise, the delay in supplying valid up-to-date data from EC by UBOS has affected the demarcation of constituencies and other electoral areas. Therefore, there is need for government to operate in a coordinated manner, since a failure by one government agency or department or institution has a catastrophic effect on the operation of the EC in the execution of its mandate. Mr. Speaker, that's the end of the report, but 2 issues, and very briefly, Mr.
No, Chair, even before you go those 2 issues, just first leave the rest. Please take your seat. No, you have a report which members signed. So is it part of the report? You know? Now, Article 62 of the Constitution, independence of the Commission. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the Commission shall be independent and shall, in the performance of its functions, not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. The recommendations we are making here, we are telling the Electoral Commission, go adjust boundaries, extend the deadline, do what? It's in contravention of Article 62, Chair. And moreover, we are beneficiaries of the electoral process. We cannot be here defying the law which this House legislated upon. Rob, do you want to say anything about it? I have not yet opened debate on the report.
Honourable Speaker, the legislature is the third arm of government, and the executive is accountable to this legislature. And that's why when we raised these matters, when I specifically raised this matter, is because ultimately the people of Uganda have recourse here in the legislature through their legislators. The report is saying EC should consider extending the period of the voter verification exercise. We are not sitting here and directing and saying, EC, you should extend this period by 30 days. If you don't, we are going to do A, B, C, D, E. That's not what we are doing. We are saying, EC, based on all these challenges, which they also admit, because they have also admitted to, number one, their kits are not adequate, because you find one kit where you're lucky per sub-county, where you're unlucky, 3 sub-counties are using one kit. Some of these kits are defective. The voter education exercise has not been adequate because LC1 chairpersons who are part and parcel of this process, many of them are just getting to know now. So the Electoral Commission is conceding that there have been challenges, and that's why we are saying it should consider extending, because it is their duty. They are the ones that came up with this roadmap. They are the ones that can extend. So we are playing an advisory role for their good as well, because they come to Parliament saying, now give us money for this exercise, give us money for this other exercise.
Just Honorable Joe, I totally agree with. I just want you to take me on the matter of the role. I'm a presiding officer.
Of the DPP not being directed. But you see, the Electoral Commission falls under a certain sectoral committee, even for accountability purposes. Vis-a-vis, how are they utilizing the resources given to them and accountability committees? Number two, are they executing their mandate within the law? So I think it is okay for Parliament to say, by the way, your mandate as the Electoral Commission is to follow this law in demarcation and that kind of thing. Please follow the law. I think that's within our powers as Parliament to call to order any entity in this country, because it is our oversight role.
Thank you. Honorable Mpuga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And therefore, in enumerating the issues before the House, we had in mind the limitations of our duty. And there's a reason why the EC appeared together with the UBOS and the NIRA. Synchronizing their role is part of accountability. And if you go by the command of Article 63, particularly 5, sub-article 5, on the roles of the Electoral Commission, barely 10 months to the elections, and they have not done that role, and the abdicative, outlook of UBOS in releasing the census results, this Parliament is really doing its work in reminding them of that application and reminding them of the timelines within which they have to execute that mandate. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think we are moving well. The report the coaching of the language of the report could probably sound as though directing, but we are reminding these agencies of these critical obligation to the people and under the Constitution. So we are within our limits, I contend.
Thank you, Honorable Numbers.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
See how you could guide, Right Honorable Speaker, how we get committal from government to address these concerns of the general public, because these are cross-cutting issues. Cross-cutting, by the way. This side, that's what our people are raising as concerns.
Can I have the attention of the Attorney General?
So how do we, Mr. Attorney General and government, get committal that these issues of concern are going to be addressed in a timely manner? Because that's what is hovering over us, really.
Attorney General?
Speaker, we can have the Minister of Justice come back here, say next week, to report on the actions that have been taken, having listened to what Parliament has to say, in form of reporting back on the process of...
We can say, Attorney General, we can say, the Minister updates the House, okay? And on the process. And in the update, he takes cognizance of these issues which had been raised here. Now, that even gives us the freedom to debate his statement. Okay, it makes it much easier for me to manage the debate on the floor. So, colleagues, next item. No, please. Let me make it very clear on this issue. No procedure, okay? I'm done. Next item.
Item number 7.
So, Attorney General, the process ends on Monday. Can the Minister of Justice update us on Thursday? Okay? Yeah, let the Minister update us on Thursday.
Sure, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Just wait. Honorable colleagues, on this item, number 7, just Please, I'm on item number 7. By the way, it's not mandatory that I allow procedure. Colleagues, I just want to make it very clear. It's in my discretion that I can allow any point of interruption of debate in the House. So I request you,